Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal News. Today's article comes from CollectiveEvolution.com, and it's kind of a weird one, man, but we're going to give her a go and see what it's about. The headline is Russian military colonel publishes an article claiming human and animal telepathy is 100% real. It was published June 7th, 2019, and it was written by Arjun Walla. The facts. The Russian Ministry of Defense published an article about the existence of military parapsychology in Russian military techniques, which allows one to penetrate into the thoughts of another, hack computer programs, and communicate telepathically. Reflect on why this type of science studied at the highest levels of various governments, yet ridiculed and not studied at all within the mainstream. Is telepathy real? It's hard to argue against it. In fact, I would say that it's not really up for debate. That being said, when it comes to topics like these, the field is polluted with a bad reputation given its association with magic, superstition, and pseudoscience, terms that often come from those who condemn the subject without ever really looking into it. The evidence for the existence of telepathy is actually quite overwhelming, and in many cases much stronger than most other areas of science. Dr. Jessica Utz is a great person to bring up, as I've done many times before, to hammer this fact home. She is the chair of the Department of Statistics at the University of California, Irvine. In 1999, she published a paper showing how the statistical significance with regards to results seen from studies under the realm of parapsychology, telepathy, remote viewing, etc., are stronger than some of the studies used to approve some medications. In a recent interview, she emphasized the following, quote, "What convinced me was just the evidence. The accumulating evidence as I worked in this field, and I got to see more and more of the evidence. I visited the laboratories, even beyond where I was working, to see what they were doing, and I could see that they had really tight controls. And so I got convinced by the good science that I saw being done. And in fact, I will say as a statistician, I've consulted in a lot of different areas of science. The methodology and the controls on these experiments are much tighter than any of the other area of science where I've worked." End quote. Why is it that these topics are not touched by mainstream academia, yet studied at the highest levels of government? Multiple governments all over the world have been studying this phenomenon for decades, and a lot has been declassified. Take the remote viewing program that was conducted by the US government, CIA, and Stanford University, for example. After its declassification in 1995, or at least its partial declassification, the Department of Defense and those involved revealed an exceptionally high success rate. To summarize, over the years, the back and forth criticism of protocols, refinement of methods, and successful replication of this type of remote viewing in independent laboratories has yielded considerable scientific evidence for the reality of the remote viewing phenomenon. The latest example comes from Russia, as their Ministry of Defense recently published an article about the existence and study of parapsychology within the Russian military. The article explains how these techniques are and were used to penetrate the thoughts of the enemy, mind reading, as well as to hack into enemy computer systems. The article is titled Super Soldier for the Future Wars and was published in the Defense Army magazine. The article was written by Colonel Nikolai Poroskov, who explained that they use parapsychological techniques like telepathy for combat purposes, revealing secrets, disclosing locations, etc. He even discloses that Russian specialists have learned telepathy by working with dolphins. As a note to our readers, we here at Collective Evolution do not condone the use of animals for any type of experimentation. There is no information on the conditions of these experiments, but we are assuming they were captured for military purposes, which is extremely sad and heartbreaking. They had to throw in like that little thing to satisfy all the PETA crazy people, like all the people that are going to freak out because Russians are talking to dolphins telepathically. So they got to throw in this. Oh, we don't support that as our website or whatever, our magazine, whatever the hell this is. We don't support talking to dolphins. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, let's go on. Horoskov writes, they mentally gave the animals the commands that they carried out. Similar practice by the famous trainer Durov. The technique, as it turned out, is applicable to humans. Moreover, the impact was even possible on the technique. With an effort of thought, you can, for example, shoot down computer programs, burn crystals in generators, eavesdrop on a conversation, or break television and radio broadcast and communications. Good luck ended with such experiments as reading a document lying in a safe, even if it is in a foreign language that we do not speak. That's kind of cool. Identification of individuals belonging to the terrorist network, identifying potential candidates for terrorist groups, the statement reads. Quite astonishing, isn't it? Parapsychology seems to be the largest known threat to any type of secrecy, doesn't it? I found the reference to hacking computers quite interesting. Can telepathy really be used for purposes like hacking electronic equipment? I did some more digging and found an interesting document inside the CIA's electronic reading room with regards to the Soviet Union. Here's a quote from the document. The Soviet Union is well aware of the benefits and applications of parapsychology research. In 1963, a Kremlin edict apparently gave top priority to biological research, which in Russia includes parapsychology. The major impetus behind the Soviet drive to harness the possible capabilities of telepathic communication, telekinetics, and bionics is said to come from the Soviet military and the KGB. Today it is reported that the USSR has 20 or more centers for the study of parapsychological phenomena, with an annual budget estimated in 1967 at over $13 million and reported to be as high as $21 million. Today we know that trillions of dollars have gone into black budget programs in the United States, many of which likely deal with parapsychology, as they have in the past. The document also states, there are reports that the Soviets are training their cosmonauts in telepathy to back up their electronic equipment while in outer space. One of these backup schemes is known to involve coded telepathic messages. This method was previously demonstrated in March 1967, when a coded telepathic message was flashed from Moscow to Leningrad. The involvement of astronauts or cosmonauts in telepathy experiments is not necessarily unprecedented. In February 1971, during the Apollo 14 flight to the moon, astronaut Edgar Mitchell made 150 separate attempts to project his thoughts from inside the space capsule back to an individual on Earth. The results of the Apollo 14 experiments have been well documented in detail and are published in the Journal of Parapsychology. The takeaway: human consciousness and parapsychology should not only be studied for the purposes of learning new defense tactics. Humans have great potential, and there is still so much that we have yet to discover about ourselves. What needs to change is the intention behind these discoveries. And that is the end of this article. So this is kind of an interesting thing. We talked about this on Staring into the Abyss before, that there's been a lot of experimentation and a lot of projects in many different governments around the world that have dealt with telepathy and telekinesis and all kinds of parapsychology. And this is just an article that is absolutely backing up what we said. It's really, really interesting. Let me know down in the comments what you think. I'm sure you've heard about a lot of these kind of programs. There's been movies made about them, all those kind of things. And just let me know about the idea of being able to telepathically communicate with animals. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if that only works with dolphins or if you could learn how to like telepathically communicate with your dog or cat. That'd be kind of cool, be able to have conversations with them. I don't know. I like that idea. So let me know down in the comments what you think. And as always, it's up to you to make up your own mind. And I will catch you on the next one. Until I speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do I. Bye bye.